apologize for the late start, but I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Parks and Recreation Commission on July 14th, 2021. Meeting is open up. Please, would you do roll call?
George?
Here.
Genevieve?
Here.
Ritu? Katie? Mike Kelly?
Here.
Jamie?
Here.
Mike LeBlanc? Toby?
Present?
Bill Nowak? Renee? Dan? And John Pelkey? Okay, and Molly's here, John Caldwell, and myself.
Thank you. Thank you, Carrie. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Or I suppose aye pass. Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries. Public input. Anyone here for public input? Seeing none, we move on. Report of Council Liaison. I see Erica's not here, so we will move on. Board of Ed Liaison Art Arducci, he's not here, so we'll move on. Special reports, tasks. Is there any report on this? I'm looking at her. None? Okay. Report of Open Task Force Liaison, George.
Yeah, we got a letter from the owners of the Wagon Shed Nursery, which is 155 Griffin Road. It's 19 acres. It abuts, I'll pass these around if you guys want to look at them. It abuts the Rye Street Park. The task force voted to have the town manager pursue the purchase of the Wagon Shed Nursery, of the 19 acres. The town is waiting for an appraisal right now, and that's where it stands. And that's all we talked about.
Any questions for George?
I have a question. John, do we know how useful that land is?
In my personal opinion, it's very useful. It's a perfect, it's adjacent to Rye Street Park. It goes by the lower football field. I'll call it the lower football field and the lacrosse field. It adjoins that. It's the old Wagon Shed Nursery, and then it also encompasses and comes around to our mountain bike trails that are in there. I believe there's a pond on the property, and it would be an absolutely perfect fit to Rye Street Park.
Thank you, John. Any other questions? Do you have anything else for us, George? Okay, moving on. Report from Parks and Rec Director, Molly Keys.
Yeah, awesome. So first, I would like to welcome Jennifer. She is our new Assistant Director of Parks and Recreation. So welcome, Jennifer. She started about 2.5 weeks ago, and it's been a great experience so far, and we're excited to have her. So welcome to Jennifer. And then in terms of updates for the department, the town of South Windsor no longer is requiring staff and residents to wear masks while they are in our town buildings, although we're still practicing social distance protocols whenever possible. But in terms of childcare and camp, we are still mandating staff and youth to be wearing masks when they're indoors at all times, but they can remove their masks when they're outside. But for the summer, we're maintaining the mask policy that is in place, just to ensure the health and safety of all of our staff and our youth.
It's interesting. I read that as far as the mask, it doesn't say anything about vaccinations. So it's without that clause at all?
So you technically, for the town of South Windsor, you have to be vaccinated to not wear a mask inside. And then it's recommended that if you are not vaccinated and they say it's a requirement, to wear the mask inside buildings. However, we're not mandated to wear them anymore if we are vaccinated. But regardless of our childcare and camp staff, they have to wear it. So we're going to keep consistent with that, and we're going to evaluate when the EOC comes out with the school year for our 4th R program and our preschool program. And then in terms of Crosstown Trail updates, we had Kevin from Anchor. He came to the last Walk and Wheelway meeting on July 7th and, kind of just filled in the group on the status of the Crosstown Trail project, which John, myself, and a few others we walked it about 2 months ago at this point, the first half of it. We haven't been able to walk the upper half of the Crosstown Trail yet due to the wet areas and the overgrown grass, and it's not the best season to be walking through it, so we're going to be putting that on hiatus. However, Kevin is doing other pieces of that project. He's working with Eversource to kind of make sure we can have a proper alignment, so we want to know what's off limits, and how we can kind of coexist with some of their corridors currently. And they're going to be kind of providing us a color-coded map of where they can prefer us to have a trail be built. So it's been an ongoing effort with Eversource, so the project's going to take a significant amount of time just for the design. Again, so we don't really know the timeline of that piece of the project. Our suggestion right now for Walk and Wheelways is to kind of gather feedback from the community on the project to see how the community feels about the trail, the layout of the trail, what they would like to see. And then we're going to kind of continue to look for more sources of money. As of right now, DEEP is pretty much how we're getting our main source of funding for the Crosstown Trail. And in the future years, the trail is going to cost us a significant amount of money, as highlighted in the report. And that's really just, due to the different materials that are going to be needed, the extra corridors that will need to be constructed, potential abutters might not like some of the barriers, and being able to see the trail, so we might need to make berms and do other things, and then we have to make sure it's ADA accessible, which is super important, so we want to be able to have the grade and everything for that. So that'll be a several-year project, so more to come on that.
Molly, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Just remind us, what's the proposed length of the trail that we're talking about?
Yep, it is over 6 miles, 6.5? Yeah. Yep, 6.5. However, I think we're going to be trying to at least do chunks of it. So it's going to take over 10 years probably to get the whole project complete. Similar ones that were done in Portland, Connecticut, it's taken them over 5 years to construct theirs, and they're half of what we're hoping to do. And that's just the nature of getting the funding to get the resources in order to have people back up our projects. Yeah.
Just an idea, based on some trails I've seen in other locations, I would love to incorporate maybe something from our arts commissions and doing sculptures at different points along the trail. Obviously that is way down the line, but just something to plant that seed would be really cool.
Awesome, yeah, thank you.
I have a question. John, based on 6 miles, what kind of year-over-year maintenance what kind of cost do you think is that?
One thing that we're looking at is a permanent type of a pavement, whether it's, I'll call it bituminous concrete or blacktop. We'd like to do something like that runs through Manchester and things like that. Maintenance for stone dust or wood chips or any other thing like that is going to be a maintenance that we probably, over the years, would pay for itself if it were a hardscape type surface. We did try a new pavement out here at the town hall. It's called Perky Pave. It's pretty interesting stuff. It worked well. We're going to see how it holds up. A little experimental walkway right out front, and that's a very interesting product that would actually work well. One of the problems that we have with it, though, that as far as a winter product, we can't put down pressure on it. So, if we want to put a plow on it to open this up for the winter, we wouldn't be able to do that. So I don't think it would be feasible to use it, but I would really like to see a hard surface.
But then, I understand what you want initially, but over time, what would be the annual maintenance?
Similar to a road, we'd base it out very similar to a road, if even not a little bit as good as a road, because one of the things is that Eversource it's very, very important that Eversource doesn't lose any access. So, whether it's a bridge or a road, it's going to have to handle vehicle traffic. I don't see why we couldn't get, if there's not too many trees in the way, because tree roots and things too close to trails or to pavement are not a good thing. But I don't see why you couldn't get a solid 15 years out of it without really any real maintenance other than mowing along the edges of it and taking care of it. I mean, it won't see vehicle traffic like a road does, so it should hold up fairly well, and I don't see why we couldn't get an easy 15 years out of it.
So, and in terms of our other capital projects, so from 2020, 2021, the last, hopefully last update on the Showmobile before it arrives, are now due to labor delays in manufacturing. They pushed the delivery date until August. So unfortunately, we won't be able to use it for most of our concert series this summer. We're going to utilize the current stage and hopefully have it for our last concert if the delivery date is still August 6th, around that time. In terms of our design and engineering for the pool.
Hey, Molly, sorry, on the Showmobile, was there anything in the contract that gave us any sort of rebate for it being late, or we just stuck with it?
So we've been looking into that because we would like to look at a partial refund or some compensation in terms of shipping at least. But we have not got word back from the manufacturer yet on anything. So we have to look at our exact contract and what we signed. We couldn't find anything though, however, so
I'm happy to take a look at it if you want me to.
that'd be great, thank you.
What's that?
We need this deal to taste a little bit better.
No, I mean, the whole point of it is having the Showmobile is for the season, so.
Right, correct.
Exactly.
Yeah, no.
Correct, yeah.
Molly, in the past, when we talked about the Showmobile, I think we used to, if I'm not mistaken, we used to use Vernon's.
Yes, correct.
Is there thoughts about, and we talked about this in the past, about renting it out to other towns?
Yep, so we do have a fee structure that we've put in place, so we're gonna be able to rent it out to other towns within a certain radius, along with local businesses and nonprofits. So we were hoping to do that a little bit this summer. Obviously, plans changed, so.
Another loss of revenue.
Well, so part of that contract negotiation is loss of revenue, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely. We did incur additional expenses having to, do the stage setup and breakdown, which we did not anticipate for this upcoming season. So there's been a few disappointments in terms of the Showmobile, but we're hoping that once we get it, it'll be a successful addition to the department.
So I would think that, what's the process of getting a contract, reviewing the contract, and then who signs it? Who says, this is good, I'm gonna sign it? Who does that?
It depends on the contract, but typically,
But let's say this contract.
it was starting in motion when I began, and then, I got the official price, but I think it was already set in motion that we were gonna get it with that funding. So I'm not exactly sure of who signed that last piece on it. I wanna say that it was already kind of put through. And that's the unfortunate piece, because I didn't have my hand on it personally.
And do we typically, we've received things from the Rotary Club before, do we typically send them a thank you letter or something, or?
Yeah, and we're doing we were going to do a ribbon cutting with them with the Showmobile, and hopefully we'll be able to do that when it arrives. But yeah, definitely some thank yous and, mentions at the concert series, and they've been a great partner for us, so.
Yes, they have, thank you.
Yeah. And then in terms of our two other kind of projects from 2020, 2021, John and I have completed the RFP and kind of bid stage process for the design and engineering for VMP and the Wapping Tennis Court redesign and engineering. The VMP project came back at a higher bid than what we expected. We had budgeted $50,000 and the lowest bid was over $140,000. So that was the lowest bid that we got. The Wapping Tennis Court one as well came over a little bit, but was it 60? Yeah, so yeah, tiny bit, but not really much. So we're kind of on that next stage of contacting the companies and solidifying contracts and project dates for that. The pool is, we want to make sure we can get the testing for that, so we're going to get that done as soon as possible. And then for this upcoming year for CIP, we have pretty much not really started the construction, but the storm took out the fence for the pickleball deck hockey court, so that has kind of kickstarted the construction phase of that. But we will be doing an RFP for the various construction phases of pickleball and deck hockey.
Have we let, is there anything out to the town in regards to that's coming, to see what kind of interest we have? Maybe a league or something like that? Is there any interest like that been put out there?
Pickleball is a huge interest so far. Deck hockey, not so much. We haven't, I mean, people have said that they're really excited for it. You know, we're hoping that once it is constructed, we're going to be able to do a grand opening and hopefully kickstart some leagues, whether it's adult leagues or kids leagues, to coincide with the opening of it. And then I'm going to give the rest of my update, then I'll hand it over to John. Our summer concert series, it kicked off on June 24th with the Savage Brothers. It was about 1,000 people attended. It was awesome. It was great to kind of see the community get together and enjoy the music. After that, we had several rain dates, but thankfully we were able to make up one of the concerts on Tuesday, and then we'll have Southern Kick on Thursday. And we're going to do it every single Thursday from 7 to 9 through August 19th. And August 19th will actually be our ABCD Awards, and we will invite the commission to that for that night. Our farmers market has been growing steadily throughout the summer. We started out with a good crowd, but we've had over 700 people each week. And our season, we've grown with vendors. I started with 20 vendors. I want to say we have 30 to 32 vendors now secured, depending on the week. And then the South Windsor Moms Club donated $2,000 for us to start the POP program. So it's the Power of Produce. It's a program to educate youth on agriculture and healthy eating and just different pieces to making healthy lifestyle choices. And then we kind of did a small kickoff. It wasn't a huge kickoff, but we had 25 youth sign up for the program on that day, which was really awesome to see them get the tokens, get the bag, and they had like flavored water for that event. And then every single week now we will be doing a different educational activity at the market for the youth. So it'll be a really awesome opportunity in the community. And summer camp, we have started session C. We have over 425 different campers scheduled to come this summer and over 40 staff members. We are offering junior evolution, so that's our trip camp. We have 17 participants so far. But it'll be nice that they can actually go on field trips again. So we're going to be doing that during session G. And then our specialty camps are all full, and our athletic camps are pretty much full for the summer. So we've had a good turnout for our youth programs so far. VMP as well has seen a good turnout. We're one of the few facilities in Connecticut running at capacity. Yes, Jamie?
I had a question about the summer camps. The 425 participants, how does that compare to past years? I'm sure it's down. I'm just curious.
It is down because our capacity of what we offered in terms of ratios, we significantly slashed our camps for in-house just due to the COVID protocols.
So what are we at 100% allowable capacity at this point, or how close are we?
Not with our staff that we have hired, and we still are following the COVID protocols that were originally put in place just for the health and safety. But we are pretty much sold out for the summer, which is nice. Our camps are full at the capacity that we set, and then next summer we're hoping to 100% open. But the pool has been doing really well. We're one of the few open fully in the state, and even in New England, it's been a hard time to get lifeguards to be staffing the pools. So a lot of places have had to close their waterfronts and their pools. So thanks to Nancy, she's done a great job at not only hiring the staff, but she's trained a significant amount of lifeguards. 21 new lifeguards to be exact so far, and 4 water safety instructors, which is really impressive to get all that training done and just to retain them and keep them happy and keep the pool open. So it's been very positive over there so far. And then
Molly, question. Do you have an understanding what the ratio of out-of-town versus in-town membership is?
We don't have as many out-of-town pool passes this past year. We haven't gotten the statistics yet for the season, but we start our half-off season passes soon, so I'm sure once we get that, we can get that full number for everyone. But we didn't see a lot of out-of-state, not stay out of town so far. A lot of people, however, are trying to do our swim lessons even though they're out of town. So, and obviously, first come is the residents, but it's because a lot of pools have been closed. And then our SEAL swim team, they were supposed to do a swim meet tonight, but they got postponed till tomorrow. But it's their first one versus Windsor, so it'll be good. They have 80 participants, and the JCs sponsored them. So that is pretty good. And then besides that, we're going to be working on our fall brochure for September through November programming. It's going to be online. We're not doing a printed brochure at this time because of COVID. We're going to wait probably until the springtime to do the printed brochures because with guidelines with the schools and the spaces, we have to make sure that we have the facilities and that capacity to run our programs at the full rate that we typically do. Because, once school starts, we don't know if things will change with COVID numbers and with the regulations. So we're trying to be cognizant of that. And then besides that, I would just want to let everyone know to look out for our invite for the ABCD Awards. And I think that we should at some point talk about the Al Larson dedication ceremony. That was the last piece in my update, so we can touch base on that. And then I'll have John give a parks update.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. First, I want to start with, I'm sure everybody's aware that we had a storm, and it actually tore apart quite a bit of the town, unless you have to drive all over the place and see all the locations. First of all, I'd like to thank both the Parks Department and Public Works for all the work they did clearing the roads. I know that all of us here live in town, and I think they all did a fantastic job. One of the things that was posted on Facebook is that we changed the look of Rye Street Park. Well, we personally didn't, but Mother Nature certainly did. Rye Street Park took a substantial amount of damage. We lost probably in the neighborhood of 40 trees, some of them as large as 40-inch across. If you go into the main entrance of Rye Street Park down by the concession stand, there were 4 extremely large oak trees there. Every one of them fell down, root ball and all. Around the old tennis courts was devastated. It's okay because we're going to be replacing all the fence there, but the mountain bike trails have certainly changed. They're going to change their look and even some of their direction all the way around the park. We lost 3 large pines over by the pond. We're also dealing with trees that were across the road in the parking lots. The guys have done a good job. We did have to close Rye Street Park for about a day and a half, maybe 2 days, but it is back open. But I want everybody to please use caution when they walk around the parks or anywhere to make sure that the hazards above them, they're aware of them, because I'm sure we haven't gotten them all, and it might just be your neighbor's house or in a park, but please be cautious of that. We have gone to 40 locations so far of private property versus town open space. This is a very difficult task for the Parks Department because almost all of them we can't access with any type of machine. We have to walk in the back and cut everything down by hand. The residents have been super patient with all of this. We've seen everything from a shed that had a tree next to it and it lifted the shed right up in the air and actually knocked it on its side, to fences down, pools that were hit. So please be patient. We are moving as fast as we can. Again, the parks crew has done a great job, and that's about where we stand with tree work. We're still working on it. We're probably going to be another 2 weeks before we're caught up on most of it. That has also put us behind on the mowing and the baseball fields and the facilities maintenance. Almost every school that we have lost at least one, some as many as 15 trees. Surprisingly, Eli Terry lost more trees than I thought we could possibly lose, but it is the surround of Eli Terry took a lot of trees down. Like I said, there's probably about 15 there, multiples at other locations. The high school took the back fence with the acoustic fabric. We had 2 trees go through that. So, we have problems all over. So again, please be patient. I was asked last week how Eli Terry was doing, and we've put a couple of cuts on it already. The field looks good. The grass is growing in well. Orchard Hill School, we did some renovations there with a contractor through Liberty Landscaping and Jay's Landscaping, and that's all graded out and hydro-seeded, and luckily that came in very well before all the heavy rains. So that's held up very well. We have to put a cut on that now. Molly talked about the RFPs for the tennis courts. One of the things on the tennis courts is more of a design right now. The high school would like to see 8 courts, so the RFP goes out for 6 courts that are existing with post-tension concrete, with an additional 2 that would be on the far side of the, furthest away from Ayers Road, with the 2 additional courts next to that, because then that would help the high school get JV and varsity games all in at once. High school. Oh, the high school turf, I was asked about an update on that. I do have some information on that. Board of Ed has come up with the money to make the repairs to that and the infill. We did find a contractor where we can find the infill for a substantial savings. The one thing is that the Parks Department will have to apply that infill if we want to try and get the field up and running before football practice starts, which we think is doable. We're just hoping that we don't get the excuse of, you know, COVID is slowing down trucking and things like that. And it actually is, but, you know, we've had problems with getting playground mulch for the boundless playground. And other than that, I think that might be it. Oh, and the repairs for the turf and the drainage and the drop in the high school turf will also be repaired. And that's going to be done by taking about 12 feet out on the sidelines and bringing it to the end zones, or the D zones as they're called. We're going to use the turf there so it'll match better, and we're probably going to slightly change the color. I'll call it from the soccer line to the gutter, to the outside gutter, and that way we can get rid of the slight settlement that we have, and we think it'll be a good and feasible repair that will last.
Thank you, John. Is there any possibility we can get any funding from the government from all the damage, or any grants if possible, any insurance?
The town issued a state of emergency, but it didn't, you know, I asked if we were allowed to go backwards on that emergency because the true date that the town manager requested that, we didn't really get the storm that we were predicted to get, which is good. I'm very grateful for that. But going backwards, we will not receive, I don't believe we will receive any money. I think someone told me it was a threshold of around $40 million before we could claim it as a FEMA incident. I don't know exactly. I don't know if that's a statewide number. I don't think that's a town number. It's got to be a statewide number. And we did not meet that. As a matter of fact, a lot of areas didn't get the damage that we got. South Windsor seemed to be quite a little target.
James?
Well, I was going to touch on your question about the insurance. Do you know if our property insurance covers any portion of it, or is someone looking at that?
Tree law is kind of odd because I guess the simplest way to say it is if your neighbor has a tree and it falls into your yard, it becomes your problem, unfortunately, unless you have definite proof that, you know, someone was negligent in any way. We clean up trees because we have the means to do it. It is a difficult task, and it is not something that is covered by anything that we have at this time.
I'm more thinking of the fences and the other things that were damaged as opposed to the cleanup itself.
We don't take care of any private property. We'll clean the tree up, but we are not responsible for any property.
You're talking about Rice Street?
Yeah, I'm talking about.
Oh, Rice Street, no.
Actually saved us
Well,
in terms of
yeah.
Are we saying the fence at the high school is now the responsibility of the homeowner?
Fence at the high school is ours. It's the town's.
Oh,
It's the homeowner's tree that fell on it, but it's.
no,
it's
I'm okay
ours.
with that. I mean, we spent that money putting up that,
Yes, we'll have to repair it.
yeah, well, under insurance or, oh.
No, it won't.
Goodness.
We have a fairly high deductible because we're a self-insured town, and that won't cover that. I mean, it might as far as everything, but I don't know if it can be grouped. I'm sure that's something that the town manager, assistant town managers will talk to Kerma about.
Okay. Thank you, John. Any questions? Any more questions for John or Molly? You guys are doing a great job. Thank you very much. Discussion topics. I put on here scope of commission. We talked about it. I guess we should talk about it again because we're live now, but we did discuss, we have attached here our bylaws, and the thought is should this commission have any scope at all as to what our charter is? Or, kind of trying to discover is what's our purpose and if that should be documented. We don't need to take the time to talk about it now, but I'd like to keep it as an ongoing discussion thing so we could get some ideas. The intent would be so that this commission could offer some protection or from, protection is the wrong word, could offer some definitions, some processes for the staff, so we can operate in a way so that we have a reporting process, so that every election, when there's a change, if there's a change in whatever in the town, that we have a film of protection over Parks and Rec, so that all sides need to play by the same rules. Am I saying that well enough? Does that make sense to anyone? Okay. No, everyone's confused.
Yeah, I'm just not sure what the concern is that you're trying to address. I mean, I'm happy to talk about it. I'm not sure what you're trying to address.
I mean, I'm good with looking at a charter and what our responsibilities are as a commission. I think that's fair, that we should know what our purpose is, right? And, recommendation, where do we stop and when do we, where's our, a line of, whatever, where we stop having a responsibility and it takes over from the town. I do agree with that.
Okay.
If that's what you're looking for.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Does everybody agree with that, to have just what our purpose and charter is?
I'm speaking out of turn because I'm not sure what the answer is, but I assume that there's some sort of authorizing document that created us. So that would be the first step. It may not address Toby's concern, which seemed to be much more specific than that.
Well, my concern was vaguely put, so my apologies for that. But there is no such document that we've discovered. So that's what I'd like to discover or find, or do we have the ability to create such a scope? I doubt that, but.
My suggestion would be to talk with the town attorney. That would be the first step, is to get some advice from the town attorney as to whether we can and should, and then go from there if that's a.
Yeah, I don't think whatever we come up with would be official until it goes through the town anyway, right?
Right,
We're commissioned by them. We're not elected as far as from the people, so whatever, even if we make a suggestion, we'd still have to bring it to the town and say, what do you think about this?
Correct. Is that something that is worthwhile for us to undergo, or just keep on business as usual?
Speaking for myself, I'm okay if you want to ask the town attorney, the question that you've asked us as far as can and should we do it. The first one is can we, and I don't know whether we can or cannot. So before we go farther down the path, I would ask the town attorney to give us some advice on that, and then we can react accordingly.
Agreed, makes sense. Okay, thank you. We'll do that. Okay. Is there any other business?
Hey, one last point on that. If the town attorney allows us to go forward with that, and it seems like we haven't found a document like that, we probably can look at other towns or reach out to other towns, Molly maybe, and see if they have one that they have for their parks and rec commissions, so that we can read it and see if it makes sense. But to James's point, first things first, let's talk to the town attorney and see what our direction is.
Agreed. Thank you. Any other business? Seeing none, we'd entertain a motion. This is awkward. I'm the one that usually makes
Motion
the
to adjourn.
Second.
There's a motion to adjourn and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.